the second country to be colonized in Africa in the classic sense. As far as I know, not all of this information is going to be 100% correct. And if I'm wrong with some of these things, I encourage people to point that out in the comment section, because we're all just trying to learn as much as we can here. But the second country to be colonized was Sierra Leone. And that happened in 1787. That was almost 100 years before the Berlin Conference happened, which we will get to in a little bit. The idea with the formation of the Sierra Leone colony in 1787 was there were a couple of abolitionists in the 1770s that had campaigned against slavery in Great Britain. When they saw the state that some of the previously freed slaves in London were in, they decided to say there was maybe an incentive to try to get some of these people and carve out a bit of a territory in Africa and take them back to their homeland and leave them there, and hopefully they can start lives for themselves and prosper. This came about as a result of the Mansfield judgment, which happened in 1772, I believe. And this is a judgment in the UK that basically made it illegal to take slaves from the UK and forcibly remove them from the UK to send them to the colonies of Britain, which in that time were in North America. And it made it illegal to take these slaves and forcibly remove them to take them to the colonies to sell them. This essentially created a situation where for a lot of the slavers and a lot of these slave traders who were in the business of buying and selling slaves, they had a bunch of inventory on their hands in the UK that they couldn't do anything with. So a bunch of the formerly enslaved people from Africa were freed, and they were just kind of roaming the streets of London in a very, very bad state. A lot of them were broke. A lot of them were illiterate. There wasn't a lot of economic opportunity for them for many, many reasons. And so when a lot of the abolitionists saw this, they created what was called the Sierra Leone Company. And after the creation of this company, they selected about 600 formerly enslaved Africans, and they put them on a ship. And then they, along with the 600 formerly enslaved Africans, they also got a bunch of British prostitutes who they put on the ship. I'm sure everybody can imagine why they took a bunch of prostitutes and put them on a ship with 600 slaves. And they shipped them to this small territory in Africa that was called Sierra Leone. And that is how the colony of Sierra Leone was created. Now, obviously, with the creation of the colony of Sierra Leone and the transporting of 600 slaves back to Africa, it created a bit of a tenuous situation in the territory that they were taken to, because it wasn't uninhabited. There were already natives that were living there, and there was quite a bit of friction that was created between the formerly enslaved people that were being brought to Sierra Leone and the natives as well. But that essentially tells the story of how Sierra Leone was created. Of course, after the establishment of the Sierra Leone colony in the 1770s, later in 1808, it would become a crown colony, which is to say it became a colony that belonged to the British Crown, like most colonies did. Later, when Britain would carve up quite a bit of Africa for itself. The second colony to be established in Africa was Sierra Leone, and that was around the 1770s.